Imagine this. It's the first of the month, you open a fresh spreadsheet, you're feeling motivated, maybe even a little proud of yourself. You write down your income, you list your expenses, rent, food, transport, subscriptions. You do the math, and it actually looks manageable. You think, this time, I've got it. 3 weeks later, you check your bank account and feel that familiar sinking feeling. Where did it all go? And the worst part, you followed the budget. Sort of. You didn't buy anything crazy, you didn't go on a shopping spree, but somehow the money still vanished. And now you're staring at your screen, wondering if maybe you're just bad with money. But here's the thing, you're not bad with money. The budget was bad for you. And today, we're going to talk about why monthly budgets fail for most people. Not because people are lazy or indisciplined, but because of something much deeper. Something that lives inside the way our brains are actually wired. We've been told the same story for decades. If you want to get your finances under control, make a budget. Track every rupee, every dollar, every penny. Give every expense a category and stick to it. And it sounds completely logical. It's math, after all. Money in, money out. What could go wrong? The problem is that personal finance is only about 10% math. The other 90% is psychology. And monthly budgets, as most people build them, are designed for the 10%, while completely ignoring the 90%. Think about it this way. Have you ever told yourself you'd wake up at 6 a.m. every day starting Monday? And you genuinely meant it. You set the alarm, you had good intentions. But by Wednesday, you're hitting snooze. That's not a failure of the plan. That's a failure to understand how human behavior actually works. The same thing happens with budgets. Let's break down exactly what goes wrong, step by step. Problem number 1. The month is too long. When you set a monthly budget, you're essentially making a promise to your future self across 30 or 31 days. And research in behavioral economics shows that humans are notoriously bad at imagining our future selves. We treat our future self almost like a stranger. So when you tell yourself, I'll cut back on eating out this month, what your brain actually hears is, that stranger 3 weeks from now will deal with it. And when that stranger shows up, hungry, tired, and surrounded by colleagues heading to lunch, the budget category means nothing. The distance between day 1 motivation and day 22 reality is enormous. Most budgets don't account for that distance at all. Problem number 2. Mental accounting gone wrong. Here's a fascinating psychological concept called mental accounting, first explored by behavioral economist Richard Thaler. It means that humans don't treat all money the same. We create invisible buckets in our minds and move money between them in ways that don't always make rational sense. Here's an example. You have a food budget of $5,000 for the month. You spend it all by the 20th. Now there are 10 days left, but the food budget bucket in your mind is empty. So what happens? You either starve, unlikely, or you quietly borrow from another mental bucket, maybe the miscellaneous budget, maybe the savings. And suddenly, the budget is broken. But here's the twist. You didn't want to break it. Your brain just ran out of a mental category and improvised. That's not a discipline problem. That's a design problem. Problem number 3. The budget punishes you for life. Real life is not a spreadsheet. Your cousin's birthday falls on the 14th. Your phone screen cracks on the 22nd. Your office has a farewell party on the 28th. None of these were in the plan. And when they happen, you're forced to choose between being rigid and miserable or being flexible and feeling like you failed. Most people feel the guilt of breaking the budget so strongly that they give up entirely. Psychologists call this the what the hell effect. Once we feel we've crossed a line, even slightly, we abandon the whole effort. You've probably seen it with diets. One slice of cake at lunch, and suddenly the entire day becomes a free-for-all. The same thing happens with money. One unplanned expense, and the whole month feels ruined.
But before we proceed, please hit the subscribe and like buttons so that you continue to receive videos like this from time to time.
So now you understand why budgets break down.
But here's the deeper insight that most financial advice completely misses. Budgets fail because they're built around restriction, and restriction, by its very nature, creates resistance. When you tell your brain you can't spend on this, you've now made that thing more desirable. It's the financial version of telling yourself not to think about a pink elephant. Suddenly, that's all you can think about. The people who are genuinely good with money, not just temporarily disciplined, but consistently building wealth over years, they've quietly shifted from a restriction mindset to an intention mindset. Here's what that means. Instead of asking, what am I allowed to spend, they ask, what does my money need to do this month? It sounds like a small shift, but it changes everything. When you build a restriction budget, you're fighting against your spending. When you build an intention budget, you're directing your money towards something. One is about control, the other is about purpose. And here's another insight. The most effective financial habit isn't tracking every expense category. Instead, decide on one number, what you want to save or invest each month, and automate it. Make it disappear before you see it. Make it disappear before you see it. What's left is yours to spend. No guilt, no mental categories, no spreadsheet. This works because it removes the decision entirely. The savings happen before your brain gets involved. And as behavioral psychology tells us, the best financial decisions are the ones that don't require willpower at all. So what should you actually do differently? First, stop trying to track every expense category. Instead, decide on one number, what you want to save or invest each month, and automate it. Make it disappear before you see it. Second, if you do want to budget, use shorter time windows. Weekly check-ins are far more effective than monthly plans. A week is close enough to feel real. A month is so far away, your brain treats day 20 as someone else's problem. Third, build in a buffer that you actually expect to spend, not as a failure, but as a feature. Call it your Life Happens Fund. When something unexpected comes up, you use it, without guilt, without shame, without the what the hell effect kicking in. And finally, ask yourself a different question. Instead of did I stick to my budget, ask did my money move me closer to where I want to be? One question measures compliance, the other measures progress. Here's the thing about personal finance that nobody tells you at school. It was never just about numbers. It was always about your relationship with money, how you think about it, how you feel about it, and how the gap between your intentions and your impulses plays out every single day. A monthly budget isn't a bad idea because it involves math. It's a bad idea when it ignores the human being doing the math. The most powerful financial system isn't the most complicated one. It's the one you'll actually follow, the one that's simple enough to survive a bad week, the one that doesn't require you to be perfect, just consistent. And consistency, not perfection, is what actually builds wealth over time. So the next time you feel like you failed your budget, stop and ask, did the budget fail me first? Because more often than not, it did. And now you know why.